One of the most enduring debates in church history centers around the concept of papal primacy, the idea that the Pope is the supreme leader of all Christians, with ultimate authority over the church. But was this belief present in the early church? Was the papacy as we know it today a part of the early Christian tradition, or is it a later development? Let's explore this question through the lens of history, scripture, and early Christian writings. The roots of the papacy are often traced back to the words of Jesus in Matthew 16:18, where he says to Peter, "And I also say to you that you are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church, and the gates of Hades shall not prevail against it." For centuries, this verse has been interpreted by the Roman Catholic Church as a foundational statement of papal authority. But does this passage, in its historical context, support the idea of a single leader over all of Christianity? To answer this, we turn to the earliest Christian writings outside the New Testament. In the 2nd century, figures like Irenaeus and Hippolytus offer important insights into the structure of the early church. While they certainly acknowledged Peter's prominent role, they did not view the Bishop of Rome as having absolute authority over the entire Christian world. Irenaeus, writing around 180 AD, confirms that Peter's successors in Rome, starting with Linus, took on the role of bishop. But crucially, he doesn't imply that these bishops held a unique, supreme authority over the whole church. Instead, they were part of a broader Christian community that was united in faith. As we move into the 3rd century, we see further evidence that the idea of a singular papal authority did not exist. In his letters, Cyprian of Carthage, circa 250 AD, refers to the importance of unity in the Church, but not in terms of a single earthly leader. Instead, he emphasizes the collective responsibility of bishops and the Church as a whole. Cyprian, in his writings, challenges the idea that Peter, or his successors, claimed any special primacy. He points out that even Peter himself did not act arrogantly in his leadership, especially when disputes arose in the early church, such as with Paul over the issue of circumcision. For Cyprian, the church's authority was not located in any one individual, but in the collective body of bishops. Further evidence of this comes from the writings of Hippolytus, who was in sharp opposition to the papacy's perceived growing authority in Rome. He condemned the actions of Callistus, the bishop of Rome, who sought to accommodate heretical teachings. Hippolytus, a key critic of papal authority, argued that such actions revealed a troubling deviation from true Christian doctrine. He saw the rise of papal power as a dangerous distortion of the Church's mission. For Hippolytus, the issue was not only doctrinal error, but also the unchecked power that certain bishops, like those in Rome, were beginning to wield. This shows that in the early Church, there was not an established singular authority in the hands of the Bishop of Rome, but rather a diverse, collegial approach to leadership. In the mid-3rd century, Cyprian again highlights that the Church's unity was based on collective agreement, not on one bishop's sole authority. This is especially apparent when he writes about the election of Cornelius as Bishop of Rome in 251 AD. Cornelius's election was ratified by the people and clergy, but Cyprian emphasizes that all bishops shared in the responsibility of maintaining the unity of the Church, not just the Bishop of Rome. Cyprian's words point to the idea that the Church's unity and peace were rooted in mutual respect and collaboration among bishops, not in the absolute primacy of a single leader. The role of the Bishop of Rome, while important, did not entail the kind of universal authority that would later be attributed to the papacy. From these early sources, we see that the concept of papal primacy, as understood in the Roman Catholic Church today, did not exist in the early centuries of Christianity. The early church was marked by a decentralized structure, where bishops were leaders of their respective communities, working together in unity, rather than under the authority of one bishop in Rome. So, while the Bishop of Rome was certainly a figure of importance, the early church did not recognize the kind of papal primacy that developed in later centuries. The authority of the church was a shared responsibility, grounded in the teachings of Christ and the apostolic tradition. The unity of the early church was found not in the power of one, but in the love and cooperation of many. And that, perhaps, is the most profound lesson we can learn from the early church.